Hey everybody, it's Nancy Fox, the Business Fox, and I'm back with another Facebook Live for you today. I'm so excited to be here with you. And, I've been doing a number of these Facebook Lives and I'm enjoying it more and more and more. And I'm so grateful that we have this tool to share ideas and all kinds of experiences with each other. So today, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about something that came up in a number of my coaching conversations. A number of my clients are coaches or trainers and speakers, and they've been grappling with an issue about how to, and some of them are doing webinars, some of them are doing live presentations, and they've been grappling with an issue that relates to how to keep people engaged, how to keep people's attention, how to keep people staying on their webinars longer. And I know that one myself, it's really a challenge. People are so distracted today and they're so busy. It's hard to keep their attention. Their attention span is really, really struggling. So with that, I thought maybe I would share with you my own personal experience about how I learned to overcome that challenge and how I continue to work on it every single time I do a presentation. Okay, so today I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to train or coach or speak through the telling of stories. And I know there are a lot of different methodologies around this, but I've come up with a 5-step sequence that I want to share with you today. And I'm really excited about it because how I learned about it was sort of by accident. So years ago when I began speaking, I was actually co-training with a colleague of mine who was a fabulous speaker. And Michelle had the room just mesmerized. She was really great at speaking. Her whole manner was terrific. She was really enthusiastic. She just got the room engaged. But then she did something that was really extraordinary. She would capture these. She would look up all these stories, fables and other well-known stories, and she would share them with the audience. And I tried to sort of mirror that in my own speaking. I would look up my stories and fables, and then I would try to relate them to the message in my presentations, and I just couldn't do it the way she did it. I was just not as good at it as her. And so one day I just came out with a story that was relating to my own personal experience or one of my clients, and I started to tell stories that related to my own world. And then I brought it back to the message that I was trying to share with the attendees in the audience. And it was something really amazing happened. First of all, my nervousness and my ability to really connect with the audience, my nervousness went away and my ability to connect with the audience skyrocketed. And they were clapping and they were laughing and they were really with me. And I began to realize, whoa, there's something to this storytelling thing. So I started to map out a sequence that I would use each time I gave a presentation. There was an actual structure to how I crafted the story and how I brought it back to what I wanted my audience to learn. And that was a very important factor. It's all about how to really keep their attention and how to really engage them and then bring it back to the message that you're trying to share with them. So what I've begun, as I started to do some studying around this, I have found that research has actually shown, the research that's been done on this, is that people who are learning through stories are actually up to 20% more engaged and retaining that up to 20% more. Most of the time we know that when you're giving a training or you're giving a webinar or a talk, that pretty much after a week or two, they're only retaining about 20% of what you're telling them. So that means that they're now going to have 25% or 30%. So you have to really think about how much more they're going to be engaged through the telling of stories. It's amazing. So now and actually what I began to realize is in this sequence that I developed, that was a really good one. It really helped me. But recently I've been even more excited because I learned an even enhanced sequence from one of my favorite mentors, Stu McLaren. And if you don't know who he is, look him up, Stu McLaren, and his website is stu.me, and he's really great, awesome mentor. Anyway, he teaches a really great sequence on this as well. And so I started to really bump up my own process in this, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So the first thing is you really want to know that you want to tell stories in a very specific way, not just telling the story, because you want to give just enough context and just enough background. You want to give just enough detail. Not too much, not too little. And then you want to infuse your story with just enough of tension, just enough of struggle. Then you want to wrap up the entire story in a bow and tie it to the lesson that you're trying to give to people, right? So a way that I sort of want to share with you my own story around how this actually looks. So recently I gave a presentation in Michigan to an association of professionals, and one of the main issues that they were really dealing with was really their own fear of embarrassment. Like getting out there and developing business caused them enormous embarrassment, and they were really afraid of it, so they would shy away. So I gave them an example. So the story that I used was a personal story, but it could be a story that you use from one of your own clients as well. So the story that I shared with them was a story of my own embarrassment. And the story was about a number of years ago. I really wanted to learn. I love to swim, but I really wanted to. I was watching divers go off the diving board, and I didn't know how to do that. And I really wanted to learn how to dive off of a diving board. So the first time I made up my mind that I was gonna do this. So the first time I got up on the board and I walked to the edge of the board, and it's not enough that I'm gonna be standing in front of a whole pool full of people looking at me, and now I'm in a bathing suit yet. So it's like triple embarrassment, right? I'm up there practically naked in a bathing suit trying to learn how to dive off a board, and I know I'm gonna make a jerk of myself. So I go up to the edge of the board, and I am just, not only am I have this fear of embarrassment, but I'm also terrified of really, like not doing it right. So I go to the edge of the board, and I just can't do it. I back away. But not ready to give up just yet, I got back on the board about a half hour later, and I'm looking at the edge of the board, and now I get to the edge of the board, and I go, okay, I'm doing it, and I dove off the board, except that dive was nowhere near a dive. It was, of course, the most gigantic belly flop you can imagine, right? Now, I'm telling the story to my audience. I'm sharing this. And so the belly flop was embarrassing enough. Everybody was laughing, and they knew I was trying to do this, and they were laughing. But I got back up the third time, and the third time got to the edge of the board, and I closed my eyes, and I visualized myself actually mimicking the actions of the people I had watched diving properly, arched my back, and I did my first dive. Now, was it perfect? No, I'm not going to the Olympics tomorrow, but I did do my first dive, and people were clapping and they were cheering. And what I was able to then share with the audience was that here I had overcome my fear of embarrassment, but I was willing to go through the pain of making the mistakes and failing first, and then pushing through it. So they laughed and they clapped, but they related, and that was the power of the story. If I had just said, you have to overcome your fear of embarrassment, that's just telling. This was actually sharing with them. So neuroscientists say that our brains are actually wired to learn through stories. So how do you actually do this for yourself? How do you take this sequence and use it for yourself? Well, I'm going to share with you the exact 5 steps that I use. Okay, so the first step is you have to have your hook. And the first thing is you got to really know your audience. So in this case, I knew that my audience was rather an introverted audience. They're really shy, mostly shy people. And the idea of being embarrassed, like just stops them dead in their tracks. So the hook was how to get over your fear of embarrassment. That was the hook. That caught them, right? Then step 2 is you want to tell your story. Now, your story can be a story about you personally, or it can be a story about a client or someone that you know. But remember always that you have to really put yourself, that the audience or the people who are listening to your story are really the protagonists. And even though the story that I shared with you was about me, it really wasn't about me. It was my understanding of the people who were listening to the story of really feeling embarrassed, feeling the fear of embarrassment. And so I always tied it back to how they were feeling. Understand that they are the protagonists in the story. Another piece of the equation is you want to be painting very clear visual pictures, right? So think about this. Think about, you got a picture in your mind when I was telling you the story about the diving board. You saw me standing up on the diving board, like terrified, afraid to jump in the water, afraid to dive in, making the mistake. And then you saw me belly flapping because I painted the picture of how silly I looked in the belly flap, right? And you saw the picture of people clapping and cheering for me in your minds because I painted the picture. So you want to be painting really, really good visual pictures for people in the story so they can actually see themselves in the story. And you want to also be sharing both the internal and the external struggles of the dilemma. So the external struggle of this dilemma was, I wanted to learn how to dive. And the internal struggle was my fear of embarrassment. That's what's going on in my head. And that internal struggle is what ties the audience very closely to you. That's what keeps them engaged. The more you can share about internal struggles. See, this is the stuff that people don't talk about on the outside. They talk about, well, they don't have enough time, they don't have enough money, they're disorganized, and all of that is the external stuff. But the internal stuff is the stuff that's keeping them up at night, the things that they're really embarrassed to share. They don't want people to know about it. They don't want to admit that they're concerned about it. It's the internal stuff that really stops people, and that's what they really want the most. They want the most help with, and that's what they want to listen to more. They want to listen to you when you're sharing about how to overcome the internal struggles that they're dealing with. So painting the picture of the external struggle and then tying it to the internal struggle is really what will keep people engaged and bonded to you and glued to you and won't want to have them click off. Okay, then the next step is how to paint. You want to give them a path to the solution or the transformation. So in this particular story, I was showing them that I had 3 steps. Sorry, we had a poor connection for a second. And technology works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. So anyway, the next step is, we're now at the 3rd step, and we really are now painting a path to the solution, right? And you want to give them just enough detail so that they won't tune out, but you also don't want to give them too little where they won't get it. So you want to give them 3 to 5 bullet points. So the 3rd step is give them 3 to 5 bullet points of teaching, right? You want to paint that, you want to have your hook, you want to give them the visual pictures, you want to have them give them a path to the solution. The 3rd step is you want to give them 3 to 5 teaching points, but I would recommend that you stick with 3 because people can't seem to, 3 is a really good number. They can handle 3. The more you give them, the less they're able to absorb it all. So 3 to 5 bullet points. Then the 4th step is you want to summarize and give them a wrap up to what they just learned. And then the 5th step, and the most important one, is the call to action. And this is the one that people seem to let up too early on. You want to give people a very clear call to action. You hear Baxter talking in the background. He wants to get on the action too. He wants to learn too. So you want to give them a call to action on how they're going to implement what you're teaching them. Very specific call to action. So actually, I really relate to this myself because very often I get so excited about teaching people and sharing with them and coaching them that I forget to give them the call to action. So today, I want to give you a call to action. If you've been on this call live, if you've been on this video with me live, please give me a wave, say hi, and please share or leave a comment or a question in the comment box. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have been on with me live, I now have a call to action for you. I'm going to have a free gift for you. I've created a free master checklist of what I covered today, and I've got it for you in a wonderful download. And all you have to do, if you've been on the call, if you've been on the video with me live today, go to thriveoba.com/checklist. So let me spell that out for you. It's thriveoba.com/checklist. And that's a site where I'm going to actually be revealing more and more about thriveoba.com very soon. I've got a whole new program and initiative for you folks who are really looking to grow your business online as well as off. And I've got lots of new information coming down the pike about that. But in the meantime, before we open the doors, you're going to get a sneak preview by checking out that new page. And I'm going to give you the checklist for being live with me today. So I hope you've gotten a lot out of this video today. If you have, please send me a comment. Please do share. I'm really excited about this whole Facebook Live initiative. I think there's a lot, it's a really great way to do some mini lessons and to really connect with my community and to hear what's really important to you. Most important, I really want to hear what you're grappling with and what you want to learn about, because that allows me to be putting together the right content, the right messaging, and share with you what I've learned in growing my business over the last decade plus. And listen, I've been where you are. We're all sharing our struggles together, but we also want to share what we're learning. So I hope you're going to implement the 5 steps that I taught you today on how to engage your audiences up to 20% more so that they can engage with you more and retain more. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for being with me today. Bye-bye.